Hey guys, this is Travis. It's been a while since I've made a video, but I figured I would go ahead and show off this brand new Athearn Ready to Roll SD40N. Now the SD40N is Union Pacific's attempt to rebuild their old SD40s, revamp them, put new electronics in there, and give them basically a second wind as yard engines and local service engines. I went ahead and flipped it around so you could see the engineer's side. An interesting thing about these is that this has the snoot nose, which is pretty specific. You can tell the difference between it has this large nose, which is called the snoot, as opposed to most, which sort of have a shorter nose that ends about here. This is the only version Athearn made, so if you want to make a trim set, I'd suggest getting one or two of these and waiting for Intermountain to come out with their shorter nose one, the 88-inch nose, which is more common. Really, the biggest way you know that an engine is becoming SD40N is the fact that on the side it says SD40N, which Athearn did correctly. However, some of the numbers Athearn did are actually pre-2011 SD40Ns, and SD40Ns built between 2010 and 2011 said SD40-2. So for this number it's correct, but on some numbers it's supposed to say SD40-2 where it says SD40N. Overall though, they did a pretty good job representing the SD40N class of rebuilds Union Pacific has been putting out for the past couple of years. A little side note is that since this just has the shield on the nose, it is that's obvious sign it's an older model. The newer ones have the wings, which are called baby wings. This is part of the new retooled and revamped SD40s that Athearn's been doing lately, and overall they did a great job. I really like the fact that these finally came with windshield wipers, cut bars, MU hoses, dummy receptacles, and even back on the back of the unit they installed knuckles. I don't have the unit opened up, but this is also one of those engines that has the Genesis remotor kit option, which actually makes it a lot easier than it used to be to put a Genesis motor and, say, a Loke sound in there. Overall, Athearn did a good job with the lettering and the paint. It's all very crisp. You can read these little warnings if you get a magnifying glass. It's really what you would expect from an Athearn model at this point. Another really awesome thing is that ditch lights, which previously were always dummies on Athearns, come lit. This layout I have is DCC, and this is a DC engine, so I can't show you, but take my word for it, these are lit. They are a little dim though, so I might have to put LEDs in there anyway. These engines also come with the new Athearn fans that they redid that look really nice. These also have the correct standard fans, at least correct for this number. Some SD40Ns have the old Q fans, so you'll have to check with your number to make sure it's correct. However, I think every number Athearn did come equipped with standard fans. My largest gripe with this model is the fact that it still has class lights on both sides of the model. Part of the rebuild programs in the early 90s would have got rid of these, so it's not correct at all. And it's something you won't notice unless you're really looking for it or you're someone who really pays attention to the prototype, but it definitely bugs me. Another issue I have with this model is the fact that it still doesn't have a tread plate. I would have figured that they would have put a tread plate on these since these are all new retooled models, and the fact that some Athearn RTRs come equipped with tread plates. I know I have some old SD45Ts that have tread plates. Another thing I noticed that doesn't necessarily bother me, but might bother other people, is the fact that these windows do not open. On older RTR models like this SD45T, the windows are actually movable and you can open or close the windows. I personally like the fact that these are sort of sealed shut because on the models being moved around, 90% of the time they just end up looking open like this. Versus here, it'll always look correct closed, but that's up to the modeler whether or not they like that. Here's what I was talking about. This SD45 has a tread plate, versus this is just smooth. And then just really small complaints I have about this model that hold true of all RTR engines is the fact that there's no real brake lines on the trucks, there's no interior cab, and there's no lift rings or really underbody detail. But every RTR is that way. If you want it, you have to detail it yourself. Other than that, this is a great model, and everything else I have is sort of like a minor complaint. For example, this vent is not supposed to be here on the SD40Ns, but Athearn didn't, for some reason, left it on. That's an easy fix though. All you need to do is take a little X-Acto blade and take it off. And cab roof antenna arrays vary based off the unit you have. Some of them have the RCL stuff, some of them have these sort of GPS domes. This particular unit doesn't have this. It has a bar across right here. I'll put a picture up, so it's technically incorrect, but this is an RTR. You can't expect Athearn to use road number specific detail. Since I'm a stickler, the class lights really bug me, and the incorrect vent on the conductor side, the non-specific GPS dome, and the tread plates all really bug me. So I have to give this overall an 8 out of 10. But for a modeler who's just looking for a Union Pacific switch engine and isn't going to notice little specific details like that, this is a fantastic model for its price point of I think $130. Comes with fully lit ditch lights, a quick plug. Athearn's really stepping up their RTR game. I really highly suggest this model. One quick side note is that Athearn does provide a few detail parts in the box for sticklers like me who want to apply it, but this is mostly fuel tank details and doesn't come with brake lines or traction cables or other kinds of underbody details or lift rings. Those all you have to buy yourself with aftermarket parts. And the other thing is, I kind of like this new RTR box Athearn's done. They've changed their look. They went ahead and went with this all white, and on the back side, they've brought back the old logo from the old Blue Box days. So, it doesn't really have anything to do with the engine, but it just is a new look that I really like. I'll see you guys next time, hopefully. This is probably the first time I've uploaded a video in 2 years. So, we'll see how many years it is before I upload another one.